Hi guys, it's Annette here. If you want to see how my husband and I DIY'd this beautiful farmhouse table, keep on watching. And if you like the video, if you don't mind hitting the like button and subscribing, that would help my channel grow. Thanks. First, measure out the distance that you will be working with. We measured from one side of the wall to the other, and we decided we wanted the table to be 30 inches high, 48 inches long, and 16.5 inches in depth. Here's a list of the materials you'll need to make the table. I did accidentally leave off the stain of your choice. We used Minwax Classic Gray and also polyurethane. That is optional. We do highly recommend that only because it will protect your table or any other projects that you're making. Here's a list of the tools that we use to make the table. Keep in mind, if you don't have a miter saw, some hardware stores like Lowe's and Home Depot will make cuts for you if they're not busy. So please don't let it discourage you. If you don't have a saw to make the cuts, you could ask them, and if they're not busy, they're usually pretty good at making the cuts for you. Now we are out in the garage just getting everything set to start the project. Say hi, honey.
Hi.
Here we're getting ready for our first cut. We're going to make these cuts 28.5 inches long, and we need 4 of them, 2 for the front of the table and 2 for the back. I was very excited to get this first cut done. We wanted to start making the posts first, so we grabbed the 2x4s, measured them at 28.5 inches long, and cut 4 of them. It's so cold in the garage. After you make your cuts, be sure to remeasure just to make sure that your cuts came out exactly the way you wanted. A really good saying when you're cutting wood is measure twice, cut once. Next, we're cutting the crossbars, the 2x4s at 11.25 inches, and we need 4. Next up, grab the 2x2s, cut them at 38.5 inches long, and we will need 4. Because it was so cold in the garage, we decided to come inside to assemble the frame. If you're into making DIY projects out of wood, I highly recommend purchasing a Kreg jig. It will make your life a lot easier when you're doing all the DIY projects. Here we're using the Kreg jig to drill 1.5 inch pocket holes, to use the 2.5 inch pocket hole screws to attach the pieces of wood together to create the frame. If you want a more detailed tutorial on how to use a Kreg jig, comment below and we'll be sure to put one together. Here you can start seeing the frame come together. We already drilled our holes, and now we're going to take our drill in the 2.5 inch pocket hole screws and screw them in the holes. Also, it will optional, but we do recommend using wood glue on the ends of the wood pieces before you put the screws in. As you drill the second screw in, you're going to start to see that the wood joins together and is a lot sturdier. There's a lot more support with the second screw. After one side is complete the other side by the same process, drilling 2.5 inch pocket hole screws in the corners to attach the other post to the frame. After your tops are in place, go down to the bottom, measure 3 inches from the bottom and mark your wood, because there's where we're going to put the bottom brace. And you're going to want to do the same thing you did with the Kreg jig, drilling the 1.5 inch pocket holes and using the 2.5 inch pocket hole screws to secure the bottom. And do this on both sides. Now that both frames are assembled, we're taking the 11.25 inch 2x4s that we made, and these are the braces that are going to connect the two frames together to make one big frame. And for this, we are using the Kreg jig to drill 1.5 inch pocket holes, and we'll be attaching them to the frames using 2.5 inch pocket hole screws. You're going to do 4 of these so you can connect on the top and bottom of the frames. To attach the braces, we turned the frame upside down and we're using some wood glue, and we're going to connect it to the top corner. As you can see, it's upside down, and we're going to use the pocket hole screws to attach the brace to the frame. Here we're finishing up putting on the last brace, and you can see that we set the other frame on top, so it's starting to look more and more like a table. And it's getting late, so after this, we are going to call it quits. We'll pick back up tomorrow morning. So it's day 2 of the project, and before I could get the camera ready, hubby was so excited that he went ahead and cut the 2x6s already for us, and we cut them at 48 inches long. Now, I've seen a few different plans where they just use wood glue to attach the top to the frames, but we wanted to make sure that it was extra secure, so not only did we use wood glue, but we are reinforcing it with a couple screws as well. We wanted to give our table a real farmhouse look, so what we did was we took 1 by 3.5 inch wood and we cut it at 14 3/8. We cut 13 of these, and we're going to place them just like the one you see here down on the bottom of the frame. To secure them in place, you can use nails, you can use wood glue, or a combination of the two. What we're going to do here is use something called power grab. This isn't a necessity, but we thought it would just secure it a little bit more, so we're putting that in place before we put the nails in. We measured out the middle of the table, and we wanted to start there so the table looked nice and even as we continue to add more slats to the bottom. Here's a tip for making sure the slats are evenly spaced. We took a paint stir stick and placed it on the side of each slat as we put the next one down. And you just continue this down the process as you put the slats down, and it'll make sure that your slats are parallel and evenly spaced. The slats are done, and here's how it's looking. It looks beautiful. Next up, we're measuring for the X's. Time for my favorite part of the whole project, making the X. For these, we're going to use 2x2s. You're going to want to cut your first cuts at 24 inches long. That's going to be the full piece from bottom corner to top corner. And you're going to want to cut these at a 60-degree angle so it fits in against the posts. And again, you're going to want to make 2 of these, one for each side. The long part of the X is in. And to make the smaller parts, you're going to take the same 2x2s. You're going to cut them at 12 inches long. And here's where the trickiest part of the whole project. You're going to want one angle at a 60-degree angle. That's going to be the outside corner. And where the X meets in the middle, that angle needs to be 30 degrees. That's it, the trickiest part of the whole project. The assembly portion of the project is complete. It looks like a table. The last steps, we're going to stain the table. And after that dries, we're going to use a coat of polyurethane just to protect the table. Here's the stain that we used. It's from Minwax. It's called Classic Gray. One coat didn't seem to cut it, so we did end up putting 2 coats on, and then once that was dry, we finished it off with a polyurethane. And here's the finished product. Guys, I am so excited to show you this. I think it just came out so great. It fits right in with our farmhouse theme, and I hope you love it. Let me know in the comments below if you liked it, or maybe some other ideas that you have, or if you've done one yourself. I would love for you to share. Please, if you don't mind subscribing to the video and giving it a thumbs up, it would just help my channel grow a lot. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I look forward to posting more videos for you soon.